When terrible things happen, we turn to the media. A lot of things have happened recently. And Mark Cummins, in Australia, you had the Lindt Cafe siege in Sydney. How did you cover that on the radio?
On the radio, it was a full-on day. It moved very quickly from a Monday morning. At SBS, we broadcast in different languages every hour, so it's effectively a rolling newsroom. For us, it was very quickly to get reporters out to nearby the cafe in Martin Place, and literally get reports in first up, just as it was going. What happened with the siege was that once it happened and it broke, there wasn't a lot that went on after that. There were some dramatic pictures with people who were being held up against the windows. There was the flag, but after that, essentially, not a lot happened. The big thing I think that is different from the things that happened in Paris and then the attacks that happened in Denmark is that media became a part of the story when the gunmen made the hostages call media. SBS was one of those. So we took a call about 11:30 from a young man, a young voice on the phone. I took the call. They put it through to me. And a young man saying that he was a hostage inside. It took a couple of minutes just to make sure that it was for real. We weren't quite sure until the very end, but I was pretty sure that it was real enough to start recording and to talk him through, get some details about whether or not he was safe, what was going on, and just the interaction that he was having with the third person behind him. It was a muffled voice. I could tell that it was real, and if it was a hoax, it was a very good one. And as I said, after about 2 minutes, we realized that it was real. So we had this recorded voice from inside telling us what was going on inside, but also making demands. The gunman wanted us to go on air and to first record a message with him and put that on air, claiming that he was a compatriot or a supporter of IS in Australia and that the war had come to Australia. He also what he said to us, that he wanted to send a message to accomplices that were in Sydney who had devices set around the city. And if we didn't put it to air, of course, they would blow up. So it was, for us, or for me in particular, at that particular point, was a journalistic 101 moment, but it's very rarely that you get it so clearly and also with under time pressure. It felt like a live broadcast, and we were. We of course contacted the police, who then came and were in the building very quickly. But we had to make a call on whether or not we would use any of this material, or even if we would go out and say that the gunmen and hostages are calling media in Australia. So again, it was this judgment call on what was the public interest and what's the interest of the public that we had to make during the day. So it was a very intense day. As I said, we roll with news in different languages, but we roll from a central news hub each hour. So we had to make this call every hour to see where we were going. We were watching what other media was doing to see whether or not they were being contacted. And an interesting thing about this is that nobody went out with that story until much later, that they had indeed been contacted. So in that sense, media showed restraint in a way that I didn't expect. And we really did go with the public interest rather than the interest of the public, because I think anybody knew that what they were sitting on was amazing sound or amazing pictures, but they held off. So eventually what happened was that the siege went on until the late hours of the night. Finally, it broke, and it was overnight at 2 o'clock in the morning when the siege was finally broken, and tragically 3 people lost their lives. So the content's never been used in that sense, but it was a day where we really had to look at our principles and I think go back and make sure we were making the right calls.
Very quickly here, do you regret the decision, or looking back, do you think you made the right decision under pressure?
I think we made the right decision. The voice of the young man was very calm, and he was very good in describing the situation. In that sense, it was a great insight into what was going on, but he was under duress. He literally had a weapon against his head, and I don't think any responsible media would use that today.